Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's the Betting Weekly Dojo, usually coming to you on a Monday. Today it is on a Tuesday. I'm delighted to say joining me is my co-host, professional gambler. It is Neil Channing. Good morning to you, just morning, Tuesday morning. Good morning to you, Neil. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I mean, you know me. I am a bit of a groover on the dance floor, generally speaking. All I can think about now is ballroom dancing. It's dominating my life.
Have you ever done a bit of ballroom dancing? Have you ever been involved?
I have not.
Cha-cha-cha?
No,
I'm not. I've had lessons, you know. I had lessons once.
I'm not sure if I had to bet on whether that's a true story or not. I would be saying.
I promise you, it's a true story.
I would say that is I pressed the button for lie.
Well, you would be wrong. I went for lessons twice because I
Really?
quite fancy someone in the group, and I was useless, so I left.
Uh-huh.
True story. That's a true story. I was in the West End.
You got kicked out for stalking.
I was in the West End musicals many years ago, so I got a bit of move myself, my old mate. But,
there you go.
I did have a thing.
Did you watch it though? Did you watch the dancing this week?
I did. What?
What did you think about
groping? I watched the groping rather than the dancing. It was.
Yeah.
I think he's. I think what he's doing is fantastic, and
we should remind people who missed last week that we've had a very big bet on Chris McCausland to win. What in the UK we call Strictly Come Dancing. In the States, it's known as Dancing with the Stars, I believe. And one of the incredible things about him, apart from that he's very funny and probably the most famous and most popular of the people on it, is that he's blind, and he was kind of throwing his partner around over his shoulders and stuff. It's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, amazing achievement, and he's good. I mean, he's very good at what he's doing.
Well, he's a very funny guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
So,
well, the chemistry. I think the things with these things, the chemistry between the dancers is key as well. Obviously, this guy now has allegedly put his hand on the side of the girl who didn't like it. Well, he's got no chance of winning. He could be
one of the other competitors has caused a bit of a furore, hasn't he?
Yeah, and the not only do the celebrities have fans, so do the dancers. And he's pitched with a very, very popular dancer as well, who's very, very highly recognised. She's very good on Instagram. She's all over it. And their chemistry between them is excellent. So he ticks every single box. And last week, Neil highlighted him as a bet at minus 110, so 10 to 11 if you're watching the UK. Today, he's down to around about minus 150. That's sort of the general price. And, I think he's probably minus $3 shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to really be any, if I was booking this, minus 225 maybe would be my price. I mean, it looks an absolute two-horse race, and he's up against someone that is just basically nowhere near as famous as him.
But
and I think
deaf.
in a show where people have to vote in,
thing.
being famous is a big thing,
Yeah, the girl he's up against, she's deaf, and I know she's doing amazing things, and she's very, very good at dancing as well.
They're all great, really, aren't they? I mean, the standard is very high. But I just think that this one, it just looks so wrong to me, the prices. Anyway, we won't bang on about it.
Well, we have a little bit of the bet of the week, don't we? And that was your bet last week, and this week, the only bet you're considering is to go. Don't be a moron, put more on.
I mean, honestly, if you ask me what my bet of the week is, I'm just like every day I just have another bet on it. It's I've done nothing but bet on dancing for the last in NFL, but it's a similar thing.
And so now, what's gone from a small position in last week, which was a tentative position, a little bit where you can get on. Now
I've actually gone enormous on it. It's a really big bet for me.
It's gone quite big, as it
certainly has. I haven't been messing about.
So there you go. Chris McCausland is the bet, currently minus 150 if you want to get on that price. I really recommend that's a little bit of value. Obviously, you've got to be in the UK if you're betting that. And how did the NFL go? Any good?
I had another good week on the NFL. So you'll remember about 3 weeks ago I had a very bleak time. But it's a big bounce back. I'm ahead on the season now. So, very pleased. I bet a couple of people. We were talking last week, weren't we, about when the yards get away from you. When you start thinking, I'm going to bet, over so-and-so receiving yards, and suddenly the price starts moving. What do? So there was a prime example. Let me see. Derrick Henry, he opened up 81.5 for his rushing yards, and I thought that was a good bet. I got a little bit on. These markets are not huge. Early in the week, it's hard to get a lot on. I had to take 82.5 to get my main bet on, but I still didn't really quite have enough on. The next day, I think I managed to get some 84.5. But I was still thinking I'm a little bit light on this. And it was up to 88.5. I think it was 91.5 in a place. And I thought, well, I've got to draw the line somewhere. I can't be doing that. So I had a quick look at the first touchdown. And it hadn't moved at all. He was still 4-1. So I bet him at 4-1, and he got the first touchdown. Brilliant. So yeah, I was pretty pleased about that. But I do think, like I said last week, if you, in that situation where one price is running away from you, rather than just saying, "Wow, it's only 10 yards, it doesn't make any difference," you can have a look for some alternative markets, and I would definitely recommend that.
You sound like you had a much better weekend than me, my friend. I was supposed to be going to Finland to watch England.
Yeah, how was Finland?
I didn't make it. I didn't go.
What's going on?
I wasn't very well, my friend. I went to watch England v Greece on the Thursday, and I wasn't very well with England performers, and I felt
Finished.
terrible at halftime. I was finished. I didn't make it. I come back, and I had the most awful cold. I was feverish. I was sick. I was really in a bad way. And on Friday morning, I got up. I was horrendous. I got in the car to go to Heathrow, stopped 3 times, was sick, was in a bad way, and I just couldn't make it. So I didn't make it, and sounds like you're not going. You don't sound too good myself there, but hopefully there's nothing serious about it. It lasted all the way through. I felt pretty good yesterday, and today I feel okay. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I
mean, my health is fine. My health just depends on what happens with the glitter ball at the moment. That's all I'm caring about.
Well, the glitter ball is all in the next 3 or 4 weeks, coming through to the final stages. But Chris McCausland, as I said, is the big bet, and it's gone from a small play to a very, very serious play. What we're going to talk about this week, Neil, we've gone through the focus. We're going to talk about the surge of gambling here in the UK and also across in America on bet builders, same game parlays, whichever variation you want to play.
Lots of people have different names for them, don't they? They started off in the UK as requester bets. Some guy working for a bookmaker came up with an idea that people could @ the company on Twitter and say, "Give us a line on this. We want to bet. Some guy to score the first goal, get a yellow card, and be sent off in the second half or whatever, or his team to win." And so people would @ that bookmaker, and literally they would just sift through all these Twitter messages and just come up with a line. And of course, now it's all much more formal than that. And the companies have algorithms to work it out, and it's automated. And the reason that I guess that they never really had thought about doing these same game parlays in the past was because of correlation. If you want to bet a treble on the striker to score the first goal, the team to win 2-0, and the team to be winning at half time, well, it's very correlated, isn't it? If the striker's scored, well, then they're probably going to be winning at half time, and they're probably going to win the game. And so you can't just look at the 3 odds and multiply them up. But it's quite difficult to know. How do you allow for the fact that it's heavily correlated? How much should you knock off the price in order to do that? And generally, the way the bookmakers decided to do it was to just knock off loads and add huge amounts of margin to the bet. So they might say, okay, well, this guy's 5-1 to score the first goal. They're 2-1 to be leading at half time, and they're 3-1 to win the match. Let's multiply that up. Well, we won't just halve it. We'll divide it by 5, and we'll offer people that and see if they take it. And people just took it anyway. And the bookies were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." The hold on this is big, but it's all small stakes, lots and lots of small stakes, and huge margin. Somebody in the industry told me, "Oh yeah, we get like 40% on these same game parlays." Which is, is an incredible number, really, compared with just single bets to win the game. If you're betting an NFL game where it's 10-11 each of 2, the theoretical hold is, just a few percentage points against you. To have 40% against you, it makes it very hard to win. So that does beg the question: why are those so popular with punters? Punters seem to love them.
Well, I think there is a lot of younger bettors and people coming into the industry and people betting for the first time love these bets. My son has opened up a couple of online betting accounts, which is great for me, and his mates are betting as well. And this is all they do. This is all they do. They bet these bet builders. They sit there and they dream of having a $2 bet and making $100.
I get that. I mean, I definitely
do.
get the idea that people want to win a lot for a little. And, where's the fun? I mean, say, for example, in the NFL this weekend, one guy has 4 bets, 110 to win 100, takes minus $1.10 on 4 teams, and he goes 2-2. So the 2 that he wins, he gets back 210. So his return is, 420, and he's laid out 440. He's lost $20. Now, his mate has 4 $10 same game parlays at 33 to 1, 50 to 1, 100 to 1 on those 4 games. Most likely he loses all 4 and he loses $40. Who do you think has the most fun out of the 2?
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's the way that it's going here. It's more recreational customers. It's smaller stakes. It's more frequency. And it makes the game more exciting for those smaller games because if they have a bet on something like a corner market or something like that, it could be over very quickly. This way, they could have a run on. Their goals will go through. Everything will happen throughout the match of the game. But I think from an operator point of view, the margin that they make on these, and people are telling me who work in the industry still that the liabilities of coming through on bet builders, they don't have a liability so much on the money line as much as they used to have, or the total goals as much. It's whatever the bet building running on market is now.
Yeah, it means things like the guy to score the first touchdown or the receiver to get more than his yards. It doesn't become big because of people like me betting the minus 110 on the guy to get more than 81.5 rushing yards. It's big because they've put him to get more than 81.5 to score 2 touchdowns, to score the first touchdown, to score the last touchdown. This is why they get big liabilities on it. But let me ask you, because, people sort of talk about this, it's quite a new phenomenon, isn't it? I don't know how long they've been going now, maybe 3 years. Probably longer. It's probably longer. Things are always longer when you think back like that. Maybe 5 years. But they have become enormous in the last 2 years. But it's not like we've just invented long odds. I mean, you bet on tennis all the time. Now, in tennis, every week you're faced with a prospect of, do I want to bet outright to win the tournament, or do I want to have a load of bets on the matches? And I tend to prefer the matches because it's quite hard to bet the winner of the tournament. And obviously in tennis, we've had a situation over the last kind of generation where there's been, I see Nadal just retired recently, but where, Nadal and Djokovic and to an extent Andy Murray and Roger Federer, totally dominated the game. So betting somebody outright is quite difficult to get a 33 to 1 or a 50 to 1 winner. It's pretty hard. Whereas, if I just bet some matches, I can have some fun like that. Golf tournaments, you can every week on the PGA Tour, there's a chance of somebody winning at 100 to 1, and they do win. Over the season, people win at 100 to 1 or 200 to 1. If the answer to why bet builders are popular was just people like winning a lot for a little, and therefore they were always going to be popular, why isn't golf a bigger betting sport than it is? I mean, right now golf is like not even in the top 5 betting sports, is it really? And why don't tennis tournaments outright attract more money?
Well, I think the golf market is declining hugely worldwide at the moment. Golf is when we were starting the game, golf was right up there as the up and coming sport. But I
guess that was Tiger Woods, wasn't it? That was Tiger Woods,
and also I think a lot of the television coverage was a lot better. And I think and the television coverage here isn't this; it's the majors, which is a different class. But I do think it's because that people want to win quick. I think that there is this. People want things instantly. We live in a world where you take a picture and suddenly you post it. You don't. When we were getting pictures, we used to wait 2 weeks for the guy to develop our film and bring our holiday pictures up. I think everybody wants a bet now, wants a 50 to 1 winner now, yesterday, instantly. So you have a very small stake. You can risk $1. You can have a chance of winning $50, and you can have 4 bets of the same size throughout the day to try to hit that one bet. With a golf tournament, you have the bet on the Wednesday. The tournament doesn't start till Sunday, and really you could be out of it by the weekend. You could have a right run for your money and get not just fall short. Tennis, you've got to wait 2 weeks. And really, as you said, the market is dominated, and even now the market on tennis is dominated by Sinner and Alcaraz. So we live in this instant world. We can go from one bet builder to another bet builder to another bet builder. And the American market on the bet builders is phenomenal. I mean, how big the UK market is, times that by 10. This is what people want. They want a small stake on every game and get the lot.
It's funny because I think it is a generational thing as well, as you said, because 100%. I listen to sometimes podcasts from people talking about American sports, particularly NFL, and pro punters in America. They kind of they're pretty cross that they're mad that essentially English bookmakers are coming over and starting to dominate their market, and they feel like, I mean, Vegas, was a very always has been a very traditional place, partly because of the regulator. They were limited on the things they were allowed to bet on. In Vegas, you couldn't have a bet on, you can't bet on politics, or you're not allowed to bet on, you wouldn't be allowed to bet on Dancing with the Stars. It's very difficult. I mean, it is changing slightly, but it's over the years, they've been very limited on the amount of markets they've been allowed to offer. And so people have generally just stuck to, having fairly large amounts at 10 to 11 on singles, and obviously people like parlay cards and whatever, 10-teamers and that kind of thing. But that's about as exotic as it gets. It used to be, when I started going to Vegas 25 years ago, there was only 2 casinos in town that would put up prop bets on Monday Night Football. It was kind of crazy, really. It was only really the Super Bowl, and it was that famous Super Bowl with Chicago when prop bets were kind of invented. And William the Fridge Perry scored a touchdown, and he was backed from 25 to 1 into 2 to 1. And he rumbled in over the line and scored a touchdown, and the bookies lost a fortune. It was the best thing they ever did. But even though they invented that, and that was a big thing for the market, still they had live games every Monday night, and nobody thought to put up any prop bets. They just said, well, who's interested in that? The punters want to bet 10 to 11 over, and they want to bet 10 to 11 the favourite, and sometimes they parlay the two, favourite and over. And that was about as exciting as it would get. Now, of course, the UK bookmakers have gone over there, or the European bookmakers, big companies, and they've changed the way the market is. And now, they're putting in these high margin bets like bet builder, same game parlays, and less money, as you said before, is being bet on the money line. And I think the pros over there are looking and saying, well, look at the margins they're getting. It's disgraceful. It's too good for the bookies. But the punters seem to love it. Is it that the punters are crying out for it, or is it that the bookmakers are ramming it down their throat, though? Is it that that's all that's being promoted?
I think it goes back to the factor of do you want one big whale, or do you want a load of fishes in the pond? And I think there's a lot of people out there who are recreational bettors that tick the box at the way the gambling industry is at the moment. I mean, we're in an industry where we have these regulations, we have these checks, we have these proof evidence of funds. But if you're consistently playing bet builders, you escape all that kind of stuff. So I think it helps the regulator as much as it does the small recreational punter. Obviously, it's not going to interest the bigger player, the professional gambler. I don't think they're interested, unless they can find a way that they can create a bet builder that gives them a bigger price of something that they really like, by bunging in 3 legs that are minus 2,000 or something like that to make them they make their main selection a little bit better. But I think for the regulators, I think bet builders are perfect, because no one's going to get in any trouble. People aspire. It makes the gambling fun. I mean, you would never have played a bet builder or a same game parlay.
I've definitely played a bet builder, but I think generally speaking, the time that you have to invest in it is huge, because you wade through dozens and dozens and dozens of them, and it's very easy to look and go, no. Oh, that one looks kind of interesting. Let me have a go at working it out. No. Okay, it didn't work out. No. Oh, I found another one. Let me have a look. And then maybe 1 in 100 you find a nugget. I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's better ways you can be spending your time, and you can't do everything.
But are we
Sunday,
dinosaurs? Are we dinosaurs in this street? Are we like? I mean, I look at some of the way that we've been trained.
Well, we definitely are too old.
But I mean, as the market now, have we got to adapt to the market, or have we got to find a way to make this money? Because you can't put on social media without seeing people putting up their bet builders, putting their same game parlays. I mean, there's big American-based syndicates and big American-based Twitter pages that are all same game parlays, and they're hitting them at 100 to 1. And all their people who subscribe to them, I can't believe their luck. They're hitting 100 to 1. Are we the ones that haven't adapted? Or, are we set in our ways? Should we?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're still fighting against 40%, aren't you? I mean, they do have high margins built in, and I mean, that's interesting what you say about the ecosystem changing. If we get into a situation where bet builders totally dominate, 80% of bets are bet builders, well, bookmakers are going to make more money, aren't they? Basically, because the margins are higher. And even though lots of small punters are going to lose money, and you could argue, well, no one's getting into trouble. It's hard to be a problem gambler betting $5 on bet builders. But, people can get in trouble on any kind of gambling, can't they? I mean, you could argue that slot machines, you put in a little to win a lot, but they're the most highly profitable form of gambling for casinos, and they're probably the worst thing that punters can be spending their money on. So if you get into a situation where every single punter is essentially just paying to have fun with a bet builder where they know they're not, it's not really a long-term profitable thing, and no one's really having, 1100 at 10 to 11 to try and take advantage of a soft number and actually have a chance of winning, well, bookies are going to do very well out of it. And the idea of the regulators saying, well, we need to look at how much people are staking to clamp down on problem gambling, it sort of forgets the fact that, it's... I made that example before of two guys, one has four $10 bet builders and the other one has 4 bets of 110 to win 100. One of them loses 40, the other one only loses 20. Maybe the guy who loses 40 has more fun, but over the season, he's the one that's losing a reasonable amount of money. I mean, and you can say, well, yeah, but he just needs to hit one and he's out of trouble on the year. But I don't know. I feel like it tips the balance in the bookie's favour a bit too much for me.
One other thing, I think it was an interesting point you made there, and on the bet builder, and I think it's what the evolution, or how a better, when we started in the game, or when bettors even further back from me, they'd start off with build a bank. They'll have $5 on a horse, and they'd build up to $10 on a horse and $50 a horse, and then they sort of built it up, and they sort of never sort of deviated from their sports. If you're a football guy, you bet football. If you're a tennis guy, you bet tennis. If you're a snooker guy, you bet snooker. Whatever, American football guy. The route
you never mentioned volleyball then,
or sumo. I didn't mention sumo.
Sumo, yeah.
But
yeah.
if you've had a $1 bet builder, and you've hit lucky and hit $100 on that bet builder, and you've got $100 in your account and you're betting £1, I think your route to problem gambling could probably be stronger, because I think you could have the $100 in your account and think, well, I've got enough there for 100 bet builders. You're not going to then go and have $30 on the NFL game tonight. You're then not going to have $50 on a horse, where years ago that would be. You're much more inclined to say, I tell you what I'll do, I'll transfer $50 into the slots. And then you lose slots, but you think, I don't care because I've got 100, but then you sort of become a slot player. So it for the bet builders to me offer great
They have a
fun.
different mentality is what you're saying. It's a different kind of betting.
It's the route that the gambler takes from it, and I feel that they could win big very quickly. Whereas
I think a lot of betting industry executives would say that we're moving into a world where, betting is considered to be a leisure industry. It's recreational. People are paying for entertainment, and nobody should really be expecting to win. And I think bet builders suit them from that point of view. But I mean, I don't know. That doesn't sit totally comfortably with me.
The other thing, I have a constant conversation about people on the channel here on Because We Win, where we do a lot, we give a lot of tips out on the football, and we do a lot. I mean, Sean Calvert is more on the tennis, is more from our walk of life. He bets traditional markets, money lines, total games, over and under, first set, various different things. Whereas a lot of the football guys, the soccer guys who bet with, who come on this channel and give some brilliant advice, they're a bit younger, and they come in the game a little bit differently, and they have stats and analytics that are just blow me away, stuff that I don't have. And they come on with their shots on target, total offsides in a match, and your bet builder type stuff. And I'm not sure whether we should put that up as a bet, because I worry that enough people who watch this channel, which is growing every day, can't get the wager on, and the market hasn't got enough volume in it, and the price moves very quickly. But every week now we give a same game parlay on the match of the season on the Premier League show and the European show, and we're only 6 weeks into the season or 7 weeks into the season, and we've hit 3 already. So
I've changed my mind. Let's re-record the episode. Bet builders are the best. That's all we should do.
Jack Wright's hit one. I hit one, more than luck than judgment. But Jack Wright's hit one, and we've hit another one as well. So 3 have come in. But you could bet the winner of the golf tournament for 7 weeks. You wouldn't get 3 winners. But these aren't 60 to 1 or 100 to 1 bet builders. These are logical, sensible, analytical.
What kind of prices are these? Like 3, 4 to 1?
9, 7 to 1. The biggest price, I think one of them that's 3 to 1. I think the biggest price we've hit is 9 to 1. But I can understand that logic. But when you're going to go to have about 8 legs in it, and I think myself, well. And the other thing I find is that we bet on the market. Say for example, I love the teams to win to nil. So now on the Bet Rivers website, you can't bet a team to win to nil. So you have to put a same game parlay in, the team to not score a goal and the team to win on the money line.
Okay.
And when the computer sends back the odds that the parlay is, it's actually worse price off than the team just score under half a goal. You're better off have the single on, because it's automatically built in the margin. And you're better off just have the single on the team that you're opposing, not.
And actually, in the long run, you might be better just to bet 1-0, 2-0 every time. Really.
Yeah, or something like that. So I think I think the fact that the money where they put into this factor is great. But if you can get it on 4 or 5 markets that gives you a sensible price and there is some logic behind it, yeah. But when you're throwing in 10, but when I go to a football match with my son, years ago we used to say, listen, you pick a first goal score, a correct score, and we'll end up having £20 worth of bets, never hit a winner, or if we got lucky we'd have one and we'd lose on the day. But now we just play a bet builder for a bit of fun. It costs us £2, and if it clops we win 300. We haven't won one yet, but it's better for me in the long term. I will lose more money than
definitely
I did before,
entertainment.
but it gives us entertainment in the match.
Can I throw in a betting concept that might educate people?
Sure.
What do you understand by the term favourite long shot bias?
You're going to tell me about it. Go on.
Okay, so favourite long shot bias is the theory that in betting markets, favourites are priced more efficiently than outsiders. If you bet the favourite in betting markets just blindly, say you have two punters, punter A and punter B, and punter A bets the favourite in every single whatever it is, so horse race, say, and punter B bets any horse that's 10 to 1, or he picks 10 to 1 chance in the race. The guy who bets the 10 to 1 chance will go broke more quickly. They'll both go broke because there's an over round, the bookmakers have a profit margin, and they're if they're just blindly betting randomly, they're both going to go broke if they bet in every single race. But the 10 to 1 guy is going to go broke much quicker, because the price of the favourite is likely to be much closer to the true chance of the favourite winning. Now, there's several reasons for that. It might be because a lot of the liquidity is centred around the favourite, and therefore the favourite's price is likely to be more correct because money bashes it into shape more than it does with the outsiders. There's also a slight factor in gambling where the person who sets the original odds tends to be a little more cautious around the outsiders and puts them well under what they ought to be just in case, because nobody wants to be the guy that laid 50 to 1 about something that gets smashed into 8 to 1. So you might as well just open up 20s or 25s and see what happens. And also, there's an idea that more people, the guy who starts up the market is focused on the favourite. They have thoughts about the favourite. Also, there's more competition between bookmakers about the price on the favourite. So the competition will mean that it will get closer to its real true price. So there's a whole load of reasons why the price on the favourite will be better than the price on the outsider. And that's partly why bet builders are kind of bad for you, because they are long shots, and bookmakers and betting markets are not good at predicting the price of long shots. They always make long shots shorter than they ought to be, whereas favourites, they tend to be more accurate. So if you bet builders that are, I don't know, plus $2, or plus 200 or something like that, or a short price bet builder, a bet builder with just 2 legs in it or 3 legs in it, where 2 of them are short prices, you're giving the bookmakers a lot less margin. Whereas if you bet a bet builder with 8 things that have to happen and it pays off at 100 to 1, probably the true chance of it happening is nearer to 1,000 to 1. And the margin, the theoretical margin that the bookmaker will have, will be much lower on a short price bet builder than it will be on a big price bet builder. So I'm interested in what you're saying with Jack and yourself coming up with winners on the soccer in the sort of 3 to 1 to 10 to 1 region, because I think if you're going to play bet builders, you'll be better off sticking in the long run. You'll be better off sticking to those in that kind of region. They're much. It's much harder for the bookmakers to add on a huge margin with those ones.
It all depends how far we're down going into the final week.
There's always that.
We might hit a 201, but I totally agree with you. But also, when you get the bet builder, there may be value just to go with those plays, like you say, a 1-0, 2-0, or a team to win and over 6.5 corners, and as a parlay rather than
that's
actually putting in the same game.
Some American grumps complaining about the Europeanization of their betting market have to remember that one thing that's happened that's really good for the American market now is it's just such a wide bunch of options. When you say we're going on the Bet Rivers site and we've got 5 different ways of betting our opinion on this game, do we bet the double of the team to win and the other team not to score, or do we do 1-0, 2-0 coupled? A few years ago, those options weren't available to American punters, and we've had that in Europe for a long time, and it's got to be good for Americans that they have more choices now.
Yeah, and they're here to stay, bet builders. However much you look about it, I mean, they are encouraging new bettors into the market slowly. There's no doubt about it. If you look at the average age of the people who are betting, it's good for them, and obviously it's ticking the boxes from the regulator that people can't really. They're just having fun, and it is a fun bet if you do have it and you do hit one. It's brilliant, and obviously, like I say, myself and Jack have done quite well on. It's more than luck than judgment for me, and Jack is probably much more skill than anything else. But they are here to stay. Neil, we're going to leave the subject of bet builders behind here, and we've got a couple of little questions from you. Question from AD King sent this on the last show. He said, I like Neil's thinking on being a grinder and not doing things differently just to poor results in the short term. But there's a fine line between being consistent and trusting your process and realising that actually the game changes over time and we all have to change with it, and if we want to keep being profitable. It would be good to have some discussion on how you know you're doing the right things and you don't need to change even when your luck isn't going in your favour.
I think it's a great comment. I think that's that. And that is basically the nub of the whole question, isn't it? I mean, a few years ago, I had an absolutely terrible run, and I definitely wasn't approaching things correctly. I think mentally, I was in a bad place with my gambling, and I didn't take enough time out to step back and look and try and assess what I was doing wrong and think about it. And that was an expensive mistake. And, I've been doing this for, 40 years. and I can still have times where those kind of things happen. And I was stubborn, and I carried on thinking, well, I'll get through this. And it took me a while, and it cost me a lot of money to take a step back and say, no, actually, I need to reassess what I'm doing here and have a think about it. And I changed and I adapted. It's difficult to know, though, isn't it, whether it is one of those times or whether you are just having a bad run. I do think the simple answer to the question is if you're not recording all your results and all your bets, it makes it very hard to make these judgments because you can't look back and say, well, hang on a minute, which kinds of bets am I winning and losing on? Am I winning on my bigger bets? Am I winning on my smaller bets? Is it a small sample of bets in one particular sport that have been costing me? Is it one type of bet that's been costing me? And I think assessment of those kind of things can really help you. But unless you're recording everything, you can't really do that. I also think we talked a bit in the past about, the insular nature of this profession, that we're, often sat at home over a hot keyboard, staring at computer screens, and we're not really getting to chat with other gamblers and interact. And I do think if you have the opportunity to take a step back and get someone else to have a bit of a look at what you're doing or give you advice, that can really help in those situations. But I think it's a great question, and I wish I knew the answer to it. Those are some of my thoughts on it. I don't know. What do you think, Nigel?
I think you're right. I think you just have to, if you've got a process and you think it's made money in the past, I think you need to break down everything. I mean, it goes back to one of the other questions that someone mentioned there from my point of view. He asked me to explain what I said last week, where I said about the bank. I'm a pretty good guy at having $50 and turning it into $500. I'm an awful person at turning $500 into $5,000. And I think personally, for me, I bet so much more cleverly and better when I have a smaller bank, because I just think, well, I need to make the money. I need to make 500 quid. So I think that's a much better bet. So I bet smaller. When I've sort of hit my target and made my bet, I suddenly become a bit lapsadaisical and think, well, my staking plan goes completely wrong. I bet far too much to my bank. And that was some of my biggest failings over sort of 15, 20 years ago. That was my biggest failings.
Somebody asked us that in one of the very first episodes, didn't they? Like, after you've had a brilliant week, you should take the day off. And I think, from my point of view, I just think that's nonsense. Because my process remains the same. But of course, if you're doing what you said and you're changing your process because of how you've been doing, well, then that's good advice.
Well, I was always, everything was never enough for me. If I made 400 quid, I needed 1,000. And when I should have just been steady and took the 400 quid and then not had a bet for 2 weeks and then started again with a smaller bank, paid one bill, got on with, but I didn't. I wanted everything yesterday, and ultimately I paid the cost because I never managed my staking right, and my staking was always wrong. And I think the staking plan, and going back from your point of view, if you're doing things right, look at what you have in your staking plan. If your average stake is $140 or $100 or $50, whatever it is, but when you go up to $300, you're getting everything wrong. Then you're definitely doing something wrong there. And if you're betting all the ones that you're winning at smaller stakes, I think that would be my problem. But I think if you know a sport and you've got to believe. The other thing that was a big problem for me was I made much more money as a young man before the betting exchanges came along, because as soon as I put up a price, I was 100% confident that I was right my price. I thought I was the best tennis trader in the country, or I'd be in the top 5 in the country, bar none. As soon as the betting exchanges come on, and I bet my opinion, as soon as the betting exchanges came on, and I was $2 or plus 110 a tennis player, and I looked on the exchange and they were minus 130, that tennis player, I questioned everything. I must be wrong here. And I never went my opinion, and I ultimately sort of lost the value of myself, and it was the worst thing I ever did. I should have used my expertise and my confidence on the exchange and not doubting myself. I doubted myself completely.
Well, the good news is today is another day, and you've recognised that, and you can do that going forward.
This is 10, 15, this is 10 years ago.
You can use that information going forward. The other thing I find is interesting is, like, over the course of, a few months of doing these podcasts, I think we're constantly asking ourselves the question, we're two doddery old farts, basically. And, are we keeping up with the way developments and changes in the industry are going, and is that impossible for people, in their 50s to do? And obviously that's difficult, but the one thing that we have that these young whippersnappers with their algorithms and their software and whatever don't have is experience. And I think you have to utilize that experience. And I think that I think one of the best things I'm good at is knowing how to stake. I know when it's a proper bet, and I'm putting my big bet trousers on for Chris McCausland. And I know when it's a throwaway bet, and I'm just having a standard, I'm taking minus $1.10, and I think it should be minus $1.20, and that's a bread and butter bet, and I'm not going to get too carried away on it, but I know that if I have a bunch of those over the year, I'm going to do well. And having the experience to know the difference between those two and getting your staking right and being consistent with that staking just comes with experience. And I think it's hard to beat experience in that. And I guess that's the only thing that keeps me above water, really.
Yep. Very wise words. Experience is very crucial in this game. And obviously, I mean, the things I've said there are things that 10, 15 years ago I've learned from experience. I've learned through ups and downs. And between myself and Neil, we've had a lot of those in our betting career for sure. That's another thing. That's discussion for another day. Neil, before we go, I always want a bet of the week and always say a bet of the week. And I've been looking through the bets of the week and I'm trying to find something. Last week,
have you got one for me?
Well, I got a little.
I want one of these tennis matches where you make it plus 110 and the market makes it minus 130.
I haven't got the time to price them all up anymore. I'm busy talking to you and doing these shows. I haven't got time to price them up anymore. But I tell you the one thing I did. Last week I gave Holger Rooney. It was awful, absolutely awful. Anyway, I was looking at the golf this week. I was looking at the golf this week, right? And I was looking at the golf, and I was looking at the Andalusia Masters.
Oh my
now, the
gosh!
Andalusia. No, this is the European Tour this week, right? And John Rahm is a very, very short price favourite. He's plus 275 best price with Bet Rivers currently, and he's being bet. Some books are plus 225. Well, John Rahm has never, ever won at Valderrama. And his record at Valderrama is pretty poor, to say the least. I mean, I think when he started this tournament 2 years ago, and I think in round one he went 8 over or 7 over. Never plays Valderrama well. He's got a good record in Spain, but in Valderrama, not at all well. But you go through the Andalusia Masters, Spanish players do exceptionally well. Sergio Garcia's won here at Valderrama, I think 3 times. But there's a couple of Spanish players I quite like the look of at big prices. Adrian Ortegui, 66 to 1 with Bet Rivers. We're offering him each way first 6. And Angel Hidalgo, who won in Spain last week, 2 weeks ago, sorry, 3 weeks ago, won his maiden tournament in Spain 3 weeks at Hidalgo. But if you look at Ortegui, he's won this tournament for 9th last year, 2 other top 10 finishes, and a top 10. And a
How
top
many
20.
places do we get here?
We get 7.
Well, that's pretty good. I like that.
7. I'm sure it's 7 players. No, hang on. No, it's 6. We get 6 places.
6 is good.
50 odds.
I think most people are 6.
With a favourite, Spanish players do exceptionally well. You look, the 3 winners, couple of seconds, thirds. They always do well in their home events.
I like it.
At Hidalgo is born in Marbella, local course. Ortegui's won here before. And the favourite, John Rahm, never, ever, ever won at Valderrama. Never done any good at Valderrama. And last time we played this tournament, I think it was 7 over after round 1. So
you had me oppose John Rahm. I've never been a fan of John Rahm, really.
That was my thinking. You watch John Rahm win now by record scores.
He's such a grumpy, isn't he, John Rahm? He throws his clubs around, swears at the caddy. I never can get behind him.
He's got a beautiful girlfriend, more money than anything in the world. On the live tour, living his life. I mean, he's still got the ump. What can possibly... What's wrong with these people? Neil, that's great for your time. That's a wrap here for Betting Weekly Dojo. What have everyone got to do? What have we got to do to join us?
We've had quite a lot of people joining us, haven't we?
Yeah.
I noticed in the comments last week, one guy said, I've bet the over 250 likes.
How did we get?
And I don't like to lose. And I think, like, I had a look because I was fascinated by whether he was going to win. And I think it stopped on 250.
Oh, he lost.
What a bad beat
what
that
a push.
is.
That's the baddest beat of the lot. 250 likes last week. So we need to beat 250. That's the target.
I mean, what's your line this week on the number of likes?
Well, I went on my experience. Whenever you ask people to do things like this, if you ever say to someone, "I need one more follower to get to 4,000 followers on Twitter," eight people unfollow you just to like annoy you. So you say, like, I just
281 and a half.
I'll be a seller. I'll be going under 281.5.
Oh, come on, have some faith.
I'll be over and under 250 again.
Well, all you've got to do is click like.
Yep.
Bet the overs. Click like. Press subscribe, which means you do join us.
Yep.
And the combination of those things. Well, that's a bet builder in itself, isn't it? Press subscribe. You press like. You love Nigel. I mean, that's like an 8-1 same game parlay.
Yeah, and we're not taking any margin out of it, so it's value all round. If you do like your same game parlays, and you do like your bet builders, remember this weekend the Premier League returns and the European Soccer returns, and so does the team here at Because We Win. You'll have myself, Jack Wright, and Dan Roebuck, and Steve Wiss and James Eastham giving you the best bets and the same game parlay on the match of the weekend, and that'll be live on Thursday, Monday to Friday, every day. 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock UK time. Betting Weekly Live, where one of the team, the other handicappers, give you the best bets on that day, and we get the biggest moves on the day from the Bet Rivers headquarters. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Betting Weekly Studios. Thank you very much. Do join us on there as well. Give us a like on there and give us a follow, please. It's very important for the algorithms. And finally, follow us on our socials at Because We Win on Instagram and Twitter, where you can get all the latest content on everything we're offering here on the channel. Neil, thank you as always for your time. I know you've got a busy week. You're moving again tomorrow. You're off again on your travels again.
Off on our travels again. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm going to twinkle toes down to the station with all the suitcases, dance my way onto the train, and I'll be sparkling all week.
Sparkling all week. Chris McCausland is the chair. Good luck with that. Cheer on the Spanish players, but not John Rahm at the golf this week, and Valderrama, and hopefully cash some tickets. And if you're lucky, get a big bet builder up. Have a good weekend. Take care. Speak to you next week.